Hello and welcome to another Expert Consultant Roundtable from Foodservice Consultant Society International, FCSI. Today we are focusing on the topic of fire safety in commercial kitchens. My name is Michael Jones from Progressive Content and Editorial Director of FCSI's Foodservice Consultant magazine. This roundtable is supported by Halton, many thanks indeed to them, and we'll explore the main causes of fires in food service back of house spaces and whether we collectively as an industry can do a better job to prevent them from happening. I'm delighted to be joined by two outstanding FCSI professional member consultants and the Director of Global R&D for Halton Group. So let me ask each of them to introduce themselves. Melissa, ladies first, can we start with you, please?
Melissa Moore. I'm with Foodservice Design Professionals. I am a food service designer and consultant.
Great stuff. Thank you, Melissa. And Keith, please.
Yes, my name is Keith Short. We provide services for design, construction, and management of food service facilities on a national and international scale.
Great stuff. Thank you, Keith. And Andrey, please.
My name is Andrey Livchak. I represent Halton. We are a global technology leader in demanding indoor solutions, whether it's hospitals, surgery rooms, large ships. We design galleys, cabin ventilation for cruise liners, also for oil platforms, living headquarters and galleys there as well. And finally, restaurants. I'm Director of Global R&D for Foodservice Division, and we focus primarily on sustainability. That includes energy efficiency, emission controls, safety of operations, and also indoor air quality in restaurants.
Great stuff. Thank you, Andrey. To stay with you then, let's kick things off. It might be useful if you could just first give us a quick overview on exactly what are the main causes of fires in restaurants, why do they happen, and why are they eminently preventable?
I'll refer primarily to the study that was done by NFPA, it's National Fire Protection Association, that was done in the US. It was conducted in 2010, 2014, and on average, there are 7,410 structure fires in eating and drinking facilities per year. So we have pretty strict code in the US, and most of these fires, referring to the same study actually, so 61% of the fires are attributed to fires on cooking equipment. And each cooking equipment that produces grease-laden vapor need to be equipped with Type 2 hood and fire protection system. Fire protection system typically using wet chemical suppressant, and fire suppression system is energized by fusible links typically. So fusible links at certain temperature, they melt and they energize fire suppression system. Also, National Fire Protection Code requires annual inspection and cleaning because grease fires quite often in the restaurants. So, and this frequency of this cleaning depends on cooking equipment being used and amount of grease being generated for a given restaurant. In spite of all these safety measures, unfortunately, we still have fires, as you see, based on the statistics. And I believe we can improve the situation. And several years ago, we actually first introduced sensors, smart sensors that address grease deposition duct. So we measure actually the thickness of film that deposits in ductwork and sound alarm and notify users when ductwork needs to be cleaned. And now to expand on this in this direction in safety, fire safety, we're introducing the Firewatch system. And Firewatch is a system that contains thermal imaging sensor. It's basically the eyes of the system, and temperature sensor that monitors 24/7 temperature of the cooking equipment for a given type of cooking equipment as well, with thermal imaging sensor as well as the temperature above the cooking equipment. Firewatch does not replace the fire suppression system. It's just additional system that would warn user before the fire suppression system is about to go off. For example, sometimes there is an accidental fire suppression discharge based on high temperature on the cooking equipment. So it would be able to notify user that that is happening. And also we are equipped to disconnect power to a given cooking appliance that presents the highest fire danger.
Andrey, that's a really great summation. Let's get the consultant perspective on this then. So, Melissa, from your view then, how can we as an industry collectively do a better job to prevent fires like that from happening?
Well, I think from the design perspective, we must plan for adequate spacing in the kitchen. And that's something that is critical. Tight spaces, which you typically find in restaurant kitchens, are more prone to potential fire hazards. Also working with clients to ensure the staff are properly trained on how to operate the equipment properly and maintain the equipment. I think those things are crucial.
Great, thank you, Melissa. Keith, how have you seen the fire safety situation improve across your experience in the industry? Are the same low-level mistakes still the root cause, or has there been improvements?
Yes, I've seen the catering staff strengthen their sort of housekeeping skills in a busy kitchen, like keeping an eye on the food being cooked. Also, the staff taking care when using combustible consumables like fryer oils. And also the periodic cleaning grease, which accumulates within the hoods, the char grills, the fryers, burner ranges, etc. Especially post-COVID, since the kitchens have been dormant for a period of time. On the food service designers, the sectors there, I'd look at mainly they've had more of a direct or an indirect communication and coordination with the mechanical consultant and the fire consultant, and also the subcontractors working on the project. And also the electrical consultant and the subcontract to the electrical consultant, mainly the documentation, the workmanship, how it's detailed and more accurate. This sort of allows basically the facility management firm, post-construction to maintain and prevent any potential electrical wire fires.
That's great. Thank you, Keith. Melissa, going back to a point that you made about, from a design perspective, planning for adequate spacing when designing a food service space. Let's look at those design implications then for consultants. How does ultimately good fire safety shape design and vice versa?
I guess when designing a space, the priority needs to be fire safety. And again, that starts with proper spacing and specifying the proper equipment with available safety features, such as electronic ignitions and flame failure for ranges. It's very important. Also, fireproofing techniques, such as stainless steel wall panels below the exhaust hoods. I think all of those elements are key when laying out a kitchen.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. Keith, what would you say are some of the entrenched kind of concerns or myths about fire safety and the regulation for it? And are they still valid?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ones I've sort of that come quite common. One is basically the facility or the existing facility will attract the latest fire codes and permits. A lot of people sort of bypass that or think they could bypass that. So it's best to analyse and confirm with a professional and then action where required. So the whole kitchen space is up to date on an annual basis. Apart from the hood suppression systems, other fire components must be implemented for the staff safety. Like smoke detectors, sprinklers, exit signage, some strobe lighting too, if there's too much smoke. And just a tip, always review your reflected ceiling plan and see where your smoke detectors are located. Otherwise, you'll get a constant visit or a friendly visit on a regular basis from your fire person. And the other thing is new and existing catering staff are fully trained, fire trained. This should reduce the tension and fear during a fire or when a fire is about to happen due to the detectors taking off, and just an orientation of the kitchen for staff coming in to know where the fire suppression is, the Class K extinguishers are located, and so forth, and the exits when there is a fire.
Great stuff. Thank you, Keith. Andrey, let's go back to some of the preventative measures that you mentioned right at the top, but they're already at our disposal. How can smart sensors, a modern Internet of Things environment, things like data analytics be used to better understand the cause of fires and help to warn operators in advance before they happen, or when a fire suppression system is about to discharge?
Well, there are passive measures, as Keith mentioned, Melissa, these are very important, actually, preventive measures from fires from happening. We're focusing more on smart sensor technology and Internet of Things. I already mentioned the sensors we're using. It's the thermal imaging camera and temperature sensors. As far as IoT is concerned, how we transfer the information, every single system is equipped with the controllers that run locally at a job site per predefined algorithm. And also all the information is transferred to the cloud wirelessly. So we do not connect to a local area network. We don't need to have this connection. We have secure connection to the cloud directly from the job site. So again, the data is analyzed locally and also it's simultaneously transferred to the cloud. As far as data analytics, I'll give you one example actually how we could utilize this technology. It's a restaurant. It uses solid fuel equipment, and actually employees need to come and it's charbroiler with solid fuel. You need to fire up the charcoals. It takes usually about 20 minutes to fire it up. One sluggish employee comes to work late, and he accelerates this process of lighting the charcoals, and basically it results in a fire. By analyzing the thermal image of the grill itself in real-time live, and also the temperature profile for this equipment, we can identify this event. So we can actually compare one restaurant to another restaurant to identify typical profiles, anomalies, and that would allow us actually to use this data to educate the restaurant employees for a safer environment, how they can work safer, and also prevent fires from happening in the future. That is an example of how the data is analyzed.
That's great. Thank you, Andrey. Keith, some of the technology there that Andrey has mentioned, how much persuasion do your food service clients need to invest in that kind of preventative technology? Do they get that these systems are worth investing in?
Basically, just mention keywords like public liability insurances, damages, workers' compensation, loss. This tends to get the client thinking, and then they will actively do something about it. Safety and functionality in the kitchen will always overpower cost and form. In regards to worth it, absolutely. The word fire will always scar personally, emotionally, and financially, Michael.
And Melissa, same question really to you. Are your clients generally aware of the systems that are available out there? Do they see value in them?
You know, our K-12 clients, not so much, but obviously the restaurant clients do see the value and they think it's a good idea. So I think some of the technologies that we're discussing today for the future are exciting. And I think our clients are going to be excited about it and definitely see, the benefit of having those technologies.
Great, thank you. Andrey, how much of a genuine sort of game changer is this technology for the industry? What sort of point of difference does it actually bring?
Firewatch is a very young system. It's less than a year old. So we have it installed in several restaurants. We closely monitor these jobs. They all have IoT connection. We analyze and fine-tune the algorithm right now. I would like to think of the Firewatch system as like a black box for an airplane. It's the system that continuously records the data, and it would help actually to identify where the fire started, how it developed, and would allow to analyze this data and prevent it. The difference with black box that you don't need to find a physical box actually. So since even in case of fire, if all the controllers and sensors are destroyed, we always have backup to the cloud. So we have the data stored on the cloud and we can analyze this data. And I truly believe that getting this data and analyzing would help us to better understand how fires happen. It would also help us to get historical data for a given restaurant to better select feasible links for the fire suppression system, because right now it's not very exact methods how it's selected, but having the historical data for the temperatures for a given appliance and the peaks anomalies in the restaurants would allow us to improve safety of the restaurant.
Great, thank you, Andrey. Going back to your previous point, Melissa, where you mentioned that some of your K-12 clients, this is perhaps not so much on the radar compared to, say, restaurant operator clients. Why is that? Why does this type of technology we discussed, why is it more or less appealing to one particular sector rather than another?
I think this technology would be more suited for restaurants because the production level is very high in a restaurant. The production equipment is more open flame and spaces are usually very tight. K-12 facilities normally have better clearances, more space. So for that reason, I think that it's more suitable for the restaurant industry. That doesn't mean that I think K-12 should also have this kind of technology. And I think that we need to educate our clients on the technology and recommend it to them. But I think certainly restaurants would need the technology across the board.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Do you agree with that, Keith? Is that a similar view that there are particular clients or sectors that this is better suited to?
Yeah, Melissa was saying regarding to volume and size, it's important, and also the level of training amongst the design consultants and the catering staff related to the management of fires in a commercial kitchen or the prevention of fires in a commercial kitchen too. Absolutely.
Keith, staying with you, what sort of mandatory regulatory changes would you like to see the industry adopt regarding fire safety? What do you think needs to change?
On the prevention and management of fire within a commercial kitchen, is educated on the latest fire codes. That's very important on a regular basis, and also technical seminars. Maybe it's a combination of the fire consultant and the manufacturer conducted on an annual basis.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Andrey, just changing the subject slightly, how straightforward is it to pair a fire safety solution with a ventilation system? How can they complement each other?
Well, I think it's natural to combine actually the fire safety with the ventilation system because hoods are required basically for all cooking appliances that present a fire danger. So basically, hood can see what is the temperature above the appliance, and with thermal imaging camera, actually, we see what's happening in the cooking appliance. So in my opinion, it's just natural connection because you see what's happening under the hood, and that's the best place to put the fire prevention system.
Thank you, Andrey. Keith, coming back to you, why must that kind of attitudinal imperative for safety start, do you think, at the consultant stage, start with the consultant right from specification through to installation?
Just going back initially what Melissa said. So, yes, the design consultant must always ensure they're providing a kitchen layout that deems safe and functional. I think the initial coordination with the mechanical consultant, the fire consultant, the equipment manufacturer like Halton should establish correct specification and also meet what the facility needs, depending on whether it's a K-12 or to a Olympic stadium, for example, and to ensure that the budgets are aligned to that as well. Also, the specification, I feel that it should be more advanced in technology and flexibility. And this is where the design consultant should research and propose a premium specification and work from there.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Melissa, how are you working with your operator clients to ensure that kitchen equipment and ventilation systems operate in a sort of safe mode at all times?
It starts, again, with specifying the proper equipment along with proper safety features, making sure the manufacturers provide the proper training for all new equipment via the reps, and stressing the importance of properly cleaning and maintaining all the equipment. So, we have those conversations early on and make sure they're aware that it's very important. So we start the conversation early.
And to that point, we're hearing a lot, obviously, at the moment about the sort of a labour crisis in the industry, and we are constantly told that the industry will become more increasingly automated. If automation is indeed the future of much of the industry, why is the education piece of humans still so important, Melissa?
Well, because people are always going to be an element, right? And I believe that kind of the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. I think that if we keep educating people, then clients are going to be well informed and be able to make proper decisions.
Andrey, final question for you before we do a final wrap up. You mentioned smart sensors earlier. How are they able to work in conjunction with something like ventless cooking systems? What's the suitability or the fit there?
Interesting question. I think from the fire hazard, ventless solutions probably present less of a danger. First of all, because ventless solutions are limited to electric appliances only and really light to medium duty type of cooking equipment, at least in the US. I see more of an application for smart sensors, actually kind of monitoring system that is cleaned on a regular basis, grease is drained from the system. And also we use actually grease deposition sensors as a final sensor after a multi-stage filtration system to detect the integrity of the filters and that they are cleaned on the regular basis and replaced on the regular basis as well. So it's more of a maintenance issue that is required for a ventless solution.
Great answer. Thank you, Andrey. So a final question for the panel. If you could all answer this one, please. What do you think the fire safety technology systems of tomorrow will look like? And how do you think innovation or products plus the appetite for them will evolve in the next decade? Andrey, if we could start with you, please, and then we'll go to Keith and Melissa.
Certainly, actually. For us, the Firewatch, the system that we're introducing, is kind of a result of our vision, how the system would evolve. I was always kind of frustrated that when fires in the restaurant are investigated, it's like a post-mortem, that you look at the consequences with very limited data, what happened in the restaurant. So I believe that the Firewatch system, first of all, would help to reduce the fire risk. I completely agree with Melissa. There is always a human factor there, so we cannot eliminate it completely. But anyway, Firewatch, it's an electronic system that would allow us to better understand why fire happens in very rare occasions when they do. But also it would help to train personnel and notify them that they're at the danger of fire suppression system to be going off, which is a significant loss for restaurant as well, because if fire suppression system accidentally goes off, you need to close restaurant for at least a day.
Great answer. Thank you, Andrey. Keith, same question to you.
Probably from my perspective, keeping it simple, probably just marrying the cause and effect. So say all horizontal and vertical equipment have a daily self-cleaning mode, whether it's cooking, holding cabinets and so forth. The other thing is maybe introducing or integrating a fire management control system that tends to be standard for all commercial kitchens. And this can be done, remotely or active and communicated remotely and so forth.
I think fire safety technology tomorrow is going to be more intuitive. I think technology in general is surging forward in all aspects. I also think that I will look to the experts, as in Halton, to see what they come up with next. I think they've done a good job so far. So,
Great. That's a fantastic point to end on there. It's been a really interesting and enlightening discussion from a great panel. Melissa, Keith, and Andrey, many thanks to you for joining us today and giving us the benefit of your insight and experience. I'd like to thank Halton for supporting the event. Thank you for watching. Please stay tuned to fcsi.org for future events. Thank you.